Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This is going to be a continuation of my last video, and I guess will be more of a warning to new players about using trade chat. If you are a new player or are not well enough aware of what the price of stuff is, do not ever use trade chat. If you don't understand what this stuff intrinsically is worth, why stuff is priced the way it is, like say this guy here is buying these relics, 6 for 60p, like they're all vaulted. There's a reason they're farming him. If you don't understand why stuff is priced the way it is, you should not be using this trading format. If you are a new player, your best protection against getting taken advantage of in trading is to trade where the prices are competitive. Which means if you're brand new to the game and you stumble across this, as of August 15th, 2022, you need to go make a Warframe market account and only buy and sell there. So that is what you need to do. That being said, after making my last video, I have looked over some of the content creation on YouTube regarding trading, and I've noticed that there is an underlying philosophy that I am really not happy about. It honestly aggravated me. I wouldn't say it triggered me, but it definitely motivated me to action, if you will. So let's talk about it. I even took notes. So maybe this video won't be 40 minutes long, but don't hold it to me. Okay, so there's one guiding philosophy that seems to be overarching in all of the methods that have been shown on YouTube to sell to people. And basically, it comes down to, at the core of it, selling access. Selling access to stuff that a newer player does not have access to yet. Like, say, for example, the Galv mods. I sell them for cheap. I sell them to clanmates so they can sell them for cheap. So our price is always way undercut. But when I see people charging 100p for something that is farmable and doesn't have a drop rate associated with it, with the mod itself, honestly, it aggravates me a little bit. Because 100p equates to an amount of time somebody has done at work. It's not like 50p. Like, that's like $1. Okay, but when you start getting up into like 100p, you're talking about 15 minutes of somebody's time. And yes, there is the argument of, oh, well, you're selling something that allows them to do more damage. But if somebody knew that, oh, I have to do X, Y, and Z, they wouldn't buy it. And that's the problem with most of the Warframe sales, is that most of the stuff that's on the market can basically be summed up in older Warframe players selling to new players that don't know better. It's why I know a lot of older Warframe players sell using trade chat, or will post ads on trade chat sometimes. A lot of them just don't want the hassle. Most of them don't want the hassle, like more than 50%. I would say 70% of the older players that sell actively will sell using Warframe Market. But the ones that have gotten obscenely rich are taking advantage of trade chat when somebody sees say like this, willing to buy prime junk. I understand what this person is doing. Okay? A new person will look at this and think it's a good deal, where for me, it's a risk assessment. When I look at this and I see what this is, what this person is doing, and there's nothing wrong with this, what this person is doing is they are doing one of two things. Barrow is around the corner, and they are coining in to buy primed mods. Or, the most likely thing, they are buying farmable prime parts, holding on to them for like 6 to 7 months, or even 2 years, because a Warframe is farmable for about 18 months. It's like 18 months, right? Like, a new frame comes out, like say a new frame comes out, like a new prime frame, you would get another prime release, a second prime release, and then on the third prime release, the Warframe you had that you just farmed, that just came out, would then be vaulted. So the dynamic that's happening is people who have just been around for a long time and have tons of plat, in terms of daily plat that they can make, it literally just becomes easier to make money by buying farmable stuff off of new players, getting whatever they can, and then buying the parts that they need off of Warframe Market, because that's where they're going to complete their sets, and then holding on to them for like a year, waiting for the price to go up, and then they sell them. I can make this assessment. A new player cannot. It is not two informed parties, and that's the issue. Is the only way this system works is it requires an older player that knows better to be able to take advantage of a new player that doesn't. Like, say, the corrupted mods. Super useful, lots of niche uses, but why on earth somebody would pay 30p for a farmable mod to a player that doesn't need to spend that money, or is free to play, or saw a YouTube build, is beyond me. When you can go to Warframe Market and the average unranked prime mod is like 11, the only way you can sell it to for 30 is if somebody just doesn't know. That's where you're making your money, is basically relying on somebody else being ignorant, a new person. Because if both parties were informed, the person looking to get that mod would go farm it. And then they'd sell corrupted mods as they picked them up for the Warframe Market price. So most of these, the only sale that I've seen, or the only willing to sell that I've seen that is somewhat legit, besides Rivens, is this one guy selling a cat. Willing to sell a specific cat. Now, the colors don't matter, but say the arrow tail and the tufted head, the price is high. Okay, the price is high. But if somebody wants this and understands what it is, and that's what they want, and they don't want to go through the RNG of having to get it, there's an argument for this sale being justified, where value has been added, where somebody has RNG'd the correct pet features, the correct innate colors, the correct features, where it has like the correct head, the correct tail. But for most people, if you don't even want your Smita to look like this, and you just want the charm effect, this sale doesn't apply to you. But if you have a Smita and you want a very specific Smita, the rarity of it doesn't come from the fact that any of this stuff is valuable. It comes from the specific combination. But as an older player, I can look at this and go, oh, he's selling what basically accounts to a Riven roll almost. It's got the correct stats on it. But a newer player couldn't look at this and go, why is this worth 375? And even then, this only applies to the person that wants these features that doesn't have a skin, because as soon as you put a skin on, who gives a shit about what the head looks like, because it's covered 90% of the time. So let's talk about some ways that a new player can quickly figure out if they're about to be taken advantage of. If, like, say, okay, so let's go over the first thing. If somebody is buying from you and they ask you for more of the same item, if you offer to sell something in trade chat, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place, or somebody in like your clan or like your social circle on Warframe tells you something is worth something, whatever the price is, and then you go, oh, okay, cool, and then immediately they ask for more of that item, I don't care what it is, I don't care how rare it is, that person is probably about to take advantage of you unless they're literally informing you about why it costs that much. And it's a trusted person. They have, through their actions, through how they treat you, how they talk, they have been very kit gloves with you. That being said, you still need to go to Warframe Market and check what the price is. If the person is genuinely giving you a deal, that means you can trust them more. They've proved, like, their initial offer of like, hey, this is what it's worth, blah, blah, blah. I'll buy 2 off of, if you're looking to get like slots or something, trade me something like this. But if the person's like, oh yeah, you need slots, that's 12p. Listen, I'll buy this rare prime part off of you for 12p. And then you go and look on Warframe Market, and the prime part's worth 80p. That person's trying to take advantage of you. So even if somebody seems like they're doing a good thing, if they're open about, hey, this is what it's on Warframe Market, I really don't need this, it's worth 30, I'll give you 20, I'll make 10, you get 20p right now, you'll get your slots, and I'll have to hold on to this for a while until the value goes up. And they tell you what the deal is. That's different. So, okay, so the first thing to notice is that if you're selling something and somebody immediately asks you for more of it, there's a phrase where I come from where if an oil company wants to buy your property, you have oil under it. You need to inform yourself of why this person wants this. If a gas company comes to you, or like a house flipper wants to buy your house, or say you got like a special iPhone or something like that, and all of a sudden somebody wants to buy whatever it is, you need to know why they're buying it. You have to inform yourself, because this is person to person. And with the way the Warframe Market is, because they refuse to put an auction house in here, the way this is supposed to work in a mature game that has been around for so many years, the way this is supposed to work is there is supposed to essentially be Warframe Market in Warframe. Okay? You post an item for a price, and if somebody wants to buy it, they buy it without you being there, and then you log in the next time, or you're logged on at the time that it gets sold, and you get an inbox message with the plat. That's what we're supposed to have. But we've got trade chat instead. So you would see all the seller prices, you would see all the buyer prices. It would show like like green for buyer prices and like blue for selling. So both parties could see, like on a stock chart, where the center is. So you could see average sales, you can compare sales volume, because it would all be done in game, it would all be automatic, this information would be easily doable. You wouldn't have to worry about reputation, you wouldn't have to worry about somebody being on at that time. The sale would just complete on its own. If they have plat, there's no issues. When you put the part up for sale, it takes the credits. So there's no issues whatsoever. That's what we're supposed to have, but we don't have that. So anyway, first thing is, if somebody is asking you for an extra item of one that you're trying to sell them, you need to go check the price instantly. Okay, the next thing is, the safest place for you to buy and sell is in a competitive argument. I'm circling back, but it's true. The safest place, if you do not know what's going on yet, and you are new to the game, or you feel really adverse to trade chat, and you just don't want to hustle and sell stuff person to person, because I really don't sell that way, but to say I've never run into somebody that has approached me at my MR and asked me for a part. There have been times where I have made that sale. I don't do it often, but if I were to say I never did it, I'd be lying. It happens. There have also been times, maybe I'm a little more altruistic than some people, a little more fair-minded, but if somebody, I will tell somebody that is new, knowing they are new, hey, for this price, you've overbid. The lowest price on Warframe market is blah, blah, blah. I will match that. It drops the argument of trying to haggle 90% of the time. If they don't know what Warframe market is, it's an easy intro to inform them of it. Because let's be honest, anybody who knows anything about this game knows to shop on Warframe market as of right now. It's the safest place to do it if you don't know what's going on. So the next thing would be, okay, what's the other thing I got? Make sure to always check Warframe market. If, like, I just can't stress this enough. If you're new, bros, dudettes, dudes, homies, don't even look at trade chat. You would be better off literally going to your clan or to your alliance chat and be like, if trading isn't allowed, going, hey, blah, 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 I'm sorry, but can anybody tell me where to get this? If it's farmable, if it's like a really rare drop, I'd even be willing to buy it off of you. That would be 1,000 times safer than you venturing into trade chat. You have to view this as like the Wall Street stock floor. Somebody will smile and take advantage of you. And there's nothing worse than realizing you got taken advantage of for being ignorant. It's okay to be ignorant. Everybody was. It's okay to not know. But you have to understand that leads you to people who are justifying it as like, oh, I'm selling at a price that somebody's willing to buy. They're deluding themselves to make it okay to sell to somebody who doesn't know better. Like, there's a reason in schools, in elementary schools, we don't allow people selling iPhones in there. You're not allowed to do it because the person that you're speaking to doesn't know better. But Warframe doesn't have that, and you have to view trade chat as a mature person's, not mature like mentally or physically, but mature in the game, ability to deal with this, because I can haggle significantly more effectively. And even when I buy stuff off of here, or maybe I even sell it, a lot of times, like, say, like, if somebody's like willing to buy blah 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 primed cryo rounds maxed, I'll check and see if I have it. This one person wants it unranked. I will check and see if I have it by clicking on it. Whoops. See if I have it, and then I will go to Warframe Market and check the price, which I probably have up on a tab somewhere always when I'm playing Warframe. Like right now I have this. Okay, because I was checking the price on it, seeing what the difference between a max and unrank is. And you can figure out what the price of something is. Like this guy wants to buy Condition Overload for 7p. Okay, so for a new player, I cannot stress this enough. Just go to Warframe Market, and let's talk about Warframe Market for a bit. Okay, so this is the price people normally see. You can search any mod or anything that's tradable on the market. Okay, anything here. You can see stuff update rapidly. Yes, somebody's Legendary Fusion Core for 1p. Okay, dude. Yeah, right. You can see the average movement in sales. You can see what's fair. Okay, this sale was made down here. This sale was also made. It won't tell you if it was a purchase, or like if somebody bought something from the sell side or sold something on the buy side. It won't tell you that, but it's safe to assume the lower price was somebody with a buy order being fulfilled, and the one on the high side is somebody with a sell order being fulfilled. But this will give you an idea of what something is worth. And right now their price is jacked up. And a million and 150p. Yeah, don't buy these right now. It's literally cheaper. I think it is actually cheaper right now to just buy stacks of Iotans. You would need, what, 10 Iotans? And I think that's cheaper than this. So don't do this. But it would allow you to get a more informed perspective of at least what this is worth. So when somebody posts willing to sell Legendary Fusion Core for 250 in trade chat, you can see what the price is and know that they're willing to overcharge people that don't know better. Don't deal with them, especially when it's like a huge amount. Now if they were to go like willing to sell Legendary Fusion Core for like 160, 170, that's not bad. But then you would still, if you were in the market for one and you had the plat, you would still go here. You also have the option, if you get one from the from the sortie, to sell it here. So let's talk about this dynamic real quick, because this is super important for new people. Regardless of which side of this you are on, if you are trying to sell something, if you are trying to buy something, you have to view this as you are selling something. It has intrinsic value. On the seller side, you are willing to trade a Legendary Fusion Core for 154p. You are willing to sell a Legendary Fusion Core for 154p. On the buyer side, you are willing to sell 120p for a Legendary Fusion Core. You are selling something. Now the price of these, if the market was perfect, the price of this would be one less than the price of this. Right? If it was perfect, there would be no units difference between them. It'd be one if it was a perfect market. And there is a strategy here. This is one of the more ethical ways of making money. Is if you have P, you have platinum, I could go and buy these three. Okay? And then turn around and sell them for 153. Because it's a risk on my end. And my issue with the way a lot of the older players that make money, is their way of making money is by selling stuff that we did not have to earn the way a new player does. Like, say, adaptation from an arbitration. I did not have to do the zarimon and farm up a railjack and farm up a void rig to do arbitrations. But a new player does. So when I went through and did that content, I already had that stuff. It wasn't a requirement, but a new player has to do that before getting adaptation now. Is it fair? No. Life isn't fair. But that being said, just because I'm an older player, if I turn around and start selling adaptations because I didn't have any barriers in front of me, I'm not profiting off the value of an adaptation anymore. I am profiting off the value of an adaptation because the new players got screwed. It's altruistically bankrupt. Like, that's one of the reasons why galvanized mods are intrinsically valuable always. Is if you go through and you look up the RB mods, say galvanized acceleration maxed, okay? The value of the mod base is about the same, 15p. Maxed, you now have the value of the mod plus the endo that went into it. But the issue is the rank. Okay? Prime mods are more expensive for a reason. Okay? They're shiny. They're way stronger than the normal one. But the galvanized acceleration is a utility thing. Technically, on shotguns, this does increase your damage, though. But it's not worth 100p. This is not worth as much as a multi-shot mod. And the multi-shot mod, because everybody's selling over here, because the market is competitive, because this actually boosts your damage, this is worth more. But it's not, because people are selling more of these than the accelerations. But this you can throw onto anything. Even if you're MR2, you can slot this mod. And it will triple your damage, if not more. Well, let's see. Okay, so it's 30 times 5, so 150 plus 80 is 230. So 230, it's going to more than triple your damage. And you can be MR2 and get this. And the value of this, why you would want to buy this in the first place, is entirely tied up behind the fact that some of the content that you have to do is tougher to get to this mod than I had to do. Because I was playing before Steel Path. So arbitrations, I was sitting on tons of Vitus Essence. So when the galvanized mods came out, last year, the year before, I just went and bought all of them. But for you now have to go through the zarimon before you can even touch these. So when I had to go through the zarimon, I already had this, and you don't know unless you buy it. And that's where its value. That's why you would want to spend this, is so you can skip that and get power from something beyond what you're able to do. But the issue is the person that you're buying from didn't have to do that either. So it's a bone I have to pick with Warframe. Like, at some point, I think they need to start MR locking or quest locking mods, and then balancing the content around stuff that the person has access to. Either just say everybody can do everything and not lock it ever. Because, to go on a small rant, I know this has been 30 minutes. Warframe has a big problem, and this older players selling to new players is a symptom of a single problem. In other games, like say World of Warcraft, you have something called a level boost, where when you start like a new expansion, right? Like in World of Warframe, World of Warcraft, if you start a new character and you haven't played for a while, say 2 or 3 expansions, and you start a new character, it will level boost you to the level of the last expansion, and then you will go through a quest line that gives you gear that allows you to do the current content. Warframe doesn't have that. So if you're a new player and you thought the Zarimon was the bee's knees, enjoy the grind, motherfucker. And if you want to get there faster, hey, you know what you can do? You can buy some of those shiny new mods off of an old player. Because that's your fucking option. The Warframe YouTubers, I guess I fall into this category a little bit. Like, what, I've got like 200 subs or something like that. A lot of my builds are higher end, not because of performance, but just because I had the time in the past where, like, when Cetus came out or when Fortuna came out, I'm going to have those mods that dropped there. But if you're a new player trying to get to the Zarimon, you probably didn't spend the amount of time necessary at Cetus and Fortuna to pick up all those mods. So by the time you get to the Zarimon, you are going to be massively underpowered because of modding, and you're going to feel weak. And this, why am I not doing enough damage, thought is going to enter into your head. And buying mods like this, which cost me nothing, it's like, what, 20 Vitus Essence? You go do an hour-long arbitration and you pick up like 150 of it. Is that worth, if I have the credits and the endos sitting around, is me doing an hour-long farm on the arbitration actually worth 500 to 600p? If the barrier wasn't there and you could do arbitrations, or like baby arbitrations, this mod would never get this expensive. Even with the endo, people just wouldn't sell it because it wouldn't be worth their time, but because there's this permanent barrier to access that the older players did not have to go through, and the newer players do, this becomes a really good mod to buy. But it's not something the older players had to deal with. So it's a bone that I have to pick. I've seen it a lot in a lot of videos. When you see people posting videos of like, oh man, I can sell blah 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 mod for 30p. I can sell corrupted mods for 30p. They haven't figured something out. The dynamic that's allowing them to do that is they're selling to somebody that doesn't know fucking better. So inform yourself, go to Warframe Market, research what it is. If you're doing corrupted mods, look up the list. It's literally on the Warframe wiki. There's literally a page for it. There's a bunch of them. Get in the habit of running 2-3 a day. There's a ton of RNG. The first like 15 runs, you probably won't get duplicates, but there's so many of these that getting the last one, you might end up having to buy the last one just to save sanity. Like, I know I didn't buy any of these, but I bought Spoiled Strike because it was the last one, and to get one mod, I had probably done 100 runs. So I had just gotten tired of it. It literally consumed a weekend, and somebody was like, hey, I'll just sell it to you, and I caved. But that's a time save. I'm tired of doing this. But a new player thinking, oh, this is required for a build, like say Blind Rage, definitely 100% has its place. Okay? But the energy efficiency, though, the loss in efficiency, it would be better for a new player to run an Intensify and like Augur Secrets. It's costing you 2 mods anyway. If you run this 90% of the time, like you'll run Blind Rage and like Streamline a lot of the time. Unless the, like, say with like Gyre, this gives you energy regen and you value the duration more than the energy, right? Like, it would be better for a new player to do intensify, augur secrets. Yeah, no, that would be like 60% of the benefit with no energy efficiency drop off. And those are way easier to get. So you don't need to buy these. It takes time. That being said, if you understand that this is a total RNG crap show and you just want to skip it, and you make the choice based on time commitment to it, understanding that these are easily farmable, and you go, man, I can go make my keys, I can go run the vaults, I can RNG it, and you go, damn, I don't want to do that. And then you make the decision to buy it. Listen, that is an informed decision. But if you're buying this because you don't understand where it comes from, inform yourself. Don't buy it under that condition. But anyway, I know I specifically said earlier in the video I wasn't going to let this be long, and here I am at 36 minutes, but it's a rant. I'm tired of seeing older players making all of their plat by just selling to uninformed new people. So I'm going to post links on the wiki. It has damn near everything, even the stuff that isn't accurate is like 90% of the time just something that needs to be updated. And the wiki is an excellent thing. There's a couple of little troll jokes in it. Not many. But it's not something you're going to get, though, if you're new. But that being said, if you can make an informed decision and then choose to buy it, that is entirely different than, oh, I saw some YouTube build and I need to drop 100p on it. You do not need to spend 1,200 plat on a Warframe build. That is fucking insane. This is not Lost Ark. This is not some gacha game. You don't spend that much here. And older players know that. New players don't. And they just end up buying stuff that is essentially free. Because the blind rages that I have, I didn't go out and hard farm blind rages. It's just I RNG'd them as I was helping somebody else do keys and do keys for Nightwave. Or the vaults. So I didn't farm them. It was RNG. Do I deserve to be rewarded with 100p for something that I wasn't specifically farming? It depends, because it's not adding... You could argue the endo is adding value. But it's not like... Most of the way that people make money on Warframe isn't any inherent added value. Even somebody that goes on Warframe Market and buys all the parts separately and then sells the set is at least selling an assembled set, and the effort that went into it, it could be justified that that person put effort into it. But me not farming Blind Rage and just getting it through RNG, do I deserve to be rewarded for 100p on something? Do there really need to be Warframe players with hundreds of thousands of plat just because they played longer? There's an argument against it, but you shouldn't be able to sell something because you got to it first and then the game locked the content off. Like the galvanized mods piss me off. These don't really, because like a new player can go do these almost instantly. But a lot of the stuff is only valuable because the older players got to do it without the barriers. You shouldn't be able to sell stuff like that, but that's the way it works in Warframe. So Warframe Wiki and Warframe Market, make them your friend, be informed, and until I'd say like MR10, just don't even look at trade chat. It's garbage. But anyway, that's my hot take for today. I'll drop the issue, but have a blessed day, guys. Take it easy.